Hello guys, and welcome to our front-end web development course. In this class we're going to be talking about common HTML elements. Yeah, as you can see, I already have my code editor set up. That's VS Code. In our previous classes I showed you how to create a folder and then open your folder from VS Code like this. Open folder. After opening the folder, you're going to have your Explorer look like this, and in your Explorer folder you can easily go ahead to create a new file. I already have my file created called index.html. Now, as you can see, we already have our doc type declaration here. Yep, the declaration, and then we have the HTML tag. Remember I said the HTML tag is like the parent container. You're going to have the start tag and the closing tag here. I remember when we started in our previous class, Introduction to HTML, I said every other tag will find their way in between this tag, this HTML starting tag, and this HTML closing tag. Yep. So one of the most important tags to consider is the head tag. The head, I want you to see HTML document more like a human body that has a head, or a human that has a head and a body. The important information that you might not see about the web page is stuffed inside the head, while the things you can see, the div tags, the paragraph tags, the heading tags, would all find their ways inside the body tag. So one of the most important tags is the head tag and the body tag. The head tag contains several other tags like the meta tag. The meta tag actually describes the metadata for a web page. It gives full information of the page to an application. Have you ever observed that when you copy when you copy a website URL and you paste it on WhatsApp, for example, or Telegram, it gives you a whole lot of information that is generated real time while still copying. Those information are gotten from the meta tags. So if for this project we say the description for this web page is web training with Damilare, and that's it. That's what your WhatsApp crawler is going to show you when you copy this particular website into your WhatsApp messenger. The author here is Damilare Ademeso. So your meta tag has several attributes. Remember when we were talking about the anatomy of an HTML element, we said void elements like this don't have content specially inside of them, so they don't need a closing tag. All you need is a starting tag with attributes. Now look at VS Code has already colored my attributes as light blue or sky blue. One of the attributes common to a meta tag is the name. The name here is description, and then the content of that meta tag. So you could also have keywords for SEO purposes. So by the time you see HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and someone is doing a Google search, for example, it says HTML tutorials, CSS tutorials. I could also add tutorial here as one of the keywords. Then boom, what's it called? Our website would also show up as one of the pages for what's it called, for HTML content. Sorry, there's an error here. Yep. Another important tag here is the link tag. So a link tag links, from the word links, your web page to an external resource. So it could be linking it to a style sheet. It's commonly used to link it to a style sheet. But here, for example, we are linking our web page to an icon. So one of the important tags in link, or one of the important attributes in link, is the rel attribute. And the rel is from the word relationship. It's saying what is the relationship between this document and the external document we are linking to. Another one is the type. So for the rel here, we are using icon. We could also have used a style sheet, but for now let's use an icon, and then I will show you how we are linking this icon to our page. So the type is image, it's an icon, and the href is actually the link to the external resource. So you need to specify this attribute for your link to work. Let's go ahead. I already have a link kept here for this tutorial. So let's have this splash image added as our href. Now I've already started this index.html on live server. And how do you run this on live server? I told you you're going to install an extension called live server. Then you're going to click on the file you want to run and just click open with live server. I already have that done, and my app is already running here on the live server. So whatever changes I make on this editor here, you would see it. Now take note of the world icon, the world image here. That is the present or the default fav icon that your browser will give all websites that do not have their own specified fav icon, favorite icon, or site icon. Now that we are about to specify a site icon for this document we are working on, or for this page we are working on, I need you to take note of this. It will change to the image we specify. So I go ahead and I do a Ctrl V, and then what do you see? Bam, this is an image. And that's how you see for W3 Schools. They just added a link to their logo, and it's showing on their browser page. Same with every other website you would be visiting. This is how to create your own fav icon using the link element or the link tag. Another important tag here is the title tag. When you use the title tag in the header section of your HTML document, what you have is this title here. Take note, you can see HTML reference, you can see how to add a fav icon, you can see fav icon code. Now, when we change this to beginners course in HTML by Damilare, I need you to look up, what do you see? Beginners course in HTML by Damilare. So basically everything in your head is trying to define what your web page is all about. You can go over to HTML reference by W3 Schools to find out more about each tag that I've spoken about. For example, the meta tag has more than what I've spoken about, but I'll just be focusing on the things that are most important. So you could see the attributes for the meta tags are here. Yep, back to the body section of your HTML document. One of the most important elements here is the heading tag. The heading tags are for content organization. I want you to see your HTML document as a pyramid like this. Yeah, let me draw it like this, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about to explain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have H1 here. It is rarely used, so you might have it as just the major heading on your web page, something like welcome, introduction to HTML. That's the biggest heading you have here. Then you have H2. H2 becomes smaller. So it's used to segment your page in order of importance, not really importance, but in order of visibility. So this is the biggest heading, introduction to HTML. Every other thing becomes smaller. You could have any text here. H3. We have 6 of search, H4, H5, and H6. So the lower you go in your document, the more often you use the ones lower in the pyramid, and the smaller they become. Let me quickly show you what I mean in code. So let's consider what we have here. Oh yeah, let me just write it out so you'd see. Let's assume we have H1, and I say in my H1 pardon me, Okay. Now this is messy. Oh. Yep, beautiful. Sorry about that. And I say in my H1 I have world. Can you see how big world is? And then in my H2 I have Africa. And then in my H3 I have Nigeria. Yep, I'm from Nigeria. And in my H4 I have Lagos. And in my H5 I have Bagada. And in my H6 I have Sholui. Now what you would observe is like I explained using the pyramid for you, what's happening here basically is it's becoming smaller as we go down. And so this way you are able to organize your content based on the most important segment and every other sub-segment in your content. Another very common element to look at is the paragraph element. From the word P, you use the P tag. Paragraph elements are simply used to contain paragraphs. And this is one of the most important elements you're going to be used, because basically your web page would consist more of text and images. So I am a paragraph and I am the most commonly used element. Remember, in our previous classes we spoke about block and inline elements. A paragraph is a block element, and so if you have multiple paragraphs, so paragraphs already have default styles, and we're going to be talking about that in our CSS class, where every HTML element has some default styling by the browser, so you're not going to be starting from scratch. The P tag is one of such elements that already have some default styles, and if you are a very curious person and you want to inspect your what you have written so far, and you click on this, you'd see that your P tag has a margin of 16 pixels. Let me see if I can show you that. Okay, sorry, that's difficult to show, but you can see from here margin 16 pixels, and it already has a font size too of 16 pixels. Let's just use another paragraph. I am also a paragraph and I'm the most commonly used element. Oh, another important element is the list tag. And that is what we represent by LI. LI. So to use the list tag, you need a parent wrapper for these list tags. So you have two types of parent tags. You have the bulleted that you called unordered, or the numbered that you called the ordered. What do I mean? Let's go back here. The OL tag is what you call the ordered list. Ordered list. OL. Ordered list. And the UL is what you call the unordered list. So in between these tags, you're going to have several li elements. Back to our code. Let's start with ordered lists. So in this ordered list, we can go ahead and have li1, and then we could say, can you see it started the numbering with 1, and we could say, what do I want for Christmas? Let me have a p tag here, so you see how it's beginning to make sense. What do I want for Christmas? Then I go here and I say, yep, I want a car. List 2, I want a house. List 3, let's say I want 100k YouTube subscribers. Now what I want you to take note of is, inside this ordered list, you remember OL is ordered list, I have several list tags, and for each of these list tags, it is numbered because it is in an ordered list container. Your li elements has several attributes that you can check, and if your li element is in an ordered list container, I want to show you something that you can add. You can add what we call a value attribute. It should be somewhere here. Yep, a value attribute. So if I had a value attribute, to the first list item, and I said value is let's say 45, I need you to take note of what happened. It started numbering from where? 45. So you can also decide at what number or at what point you want to start your numbering. This is why I would advise you to go through this HTML reference list, as your attributes determine a whole lot of things you can do with your elements. Your elements are just there without attributes. Attributes define their properties and their capabilities. Let's change this to unordered list. UL. And what do you observe? Instead of being numbered, these are now words. These are now bulleted. Your unordered list tag, I'm trying to check for attributes, and I want us to check it together. Yep, that's all about the list. Let's move ahead to the anchor tag. So let's start using everything we've been talking about here. Okay, let's use what we call the anchor tag. It is represented by the A icon, or A tag, or A name, whatever you want to call it. A. And what you're saying is, whatever content is in between here, I can link to that. Sorry. I can link to that external content. So your anchor tag or your A tag is used to link your local text or your local page to a resource that is not available on that page. It could be a local page, that's a relative page. It could be still within your folder or outside your computer. It could be a link to another website entirely. So yes, your A tag, like every other element, also has attributes. It has several attributes. I'm not going to be talking about the attributes. I'll just pick a few. The download attribute is saying, oh, the target you're about to click, you don't need to visit that page. You only need to download it as a file. So when you use the download attribute with a value, and you're saying it is the page .pdf. If it is a PDF, what's it called? If it is a PDF page, what will happen is when you click on that link, instead of it visiting the page, you have to download it using this name, the page.pdf. Also, you have href. Href specifies the URL of the page to link to or to go to. So for example, you could have http www.zgela.com. By the way, Zgela is the name of my company. So you see, now like I said, every HTML element has a default styles. For the a tag, the moment it has an href, by default your cursor will show pointer, more like a hand hovering over the text. It would be colored blue with an underline with a text decoration, and when you click on this, you can open that link either in a new tab, or you click it, it overwrites your current page. Back to where we were, the language of the link document, it could be English or whatever. Then ping is for tracking, where you could have several URLs that when people click on this, I want to know how many people clicked on it. Like I want to have an idea of how many people visited that page. Then we have the rel, that's the relationship of the current document and the link document. We have the target. This is a common attribute that we should talk about. The target is saying it could be blank, it could be parent, it could be self. If it is self, it loads on the same page. If it is blank, it opens in a new page. So if we do blank, for example, and I click on this, what happens is it opens in a new page. But if I click self, what happens is it opens on, oh sorry, I think I missed out something, should be underscore self. Yeah, when I use underscore self, it opens on the current page. Does that make sense? All right. Another element I want to talk about quickly is the div elements, represented by div. The div elements is a multi-purpose block element that is usually used for division as a container. So let's assume I have different tags that contain the P, the A, sorry, the P, the A, which other one have we spoken about? The A, several other tags, and they are just one section. I could wrap all of them around the div tag. Div for one minute, for division. So just remember this, anytime you see the div tag, it's for division. It helps to organize your content. It helps to separate different concerns or different ideologies into a particular I'm looking for the right English now, into a particular container. And it is multi-purpose. You can use it to wrap anything. It can take in text as content. It can take in other elements as nested content. And div by default are block elements. That means it will always contain the full width of the page, and it will start on a new line. So if you are trying to make something stay on a full length, you can wrap it around a div element. Another element similar to the div element is the span element. The span element is also multi-purpose like the div element, except for the fact that it is inline. You can also use it to wrap content with different ideologies. So for example, let me make it clearer. Let's say I have my paragraph, my p tag here, or my paragraph element. And in my p tag, I said I am a boy even though, or let's say I am a man even though I act like a boy. Now, because I have two, I don't know the right English to use, but let me say ideologies. I have two concepts I'm talking about here. I am a man, and I'm also saying I act like a boy. I could decide to wrap around, I act like a boy around, or I could decide to wrap a span element. Whoa, a span. I guess I need some coffee. A span element around I act like a boy, and then go ahead to give this span element a different style or any other thing. It's actually used majorly for styling different concepts in a text. So I could say style color is, what's the color for a boy? Let's say green. Can you see that? Let me change it to a more bright color. Yeah, I am a man even though I act like a boy. This span in no way is breaking this code. It's not breaking the layout. It's not moving this guy into a new line. It's just pointing out that, oh, this guy is a man even though he acts like a boy. So span is multi-purpose. Sorry, span is multi-purpose like the div element. The only difference is that it is inline, whereas div is block. I have a few more elements to talk about before we round up. I have the image element that is represented with the img tag. Image element with img tag. When you go to your HTML reference book from W3 Schools and you go to img has a few attributes that are important for what we want to do. One of those attributes is the alt attribute. And this is important for whatever reason we cannot find your image. Let me show you what I mean. We cannot find your image. If you have an alt text, rather than just leaving the users confused as to what could have been on that particular part on your page, it would show an alternative text. That's why it's called ALT, alt. So you could say this should have been my passport. So you remember the BR tag we spoke about in the last class? Let's use it here. I needed that image to move to the next line because an image element is an inline element, so it would rather just stay beside your anchored element that is also an inline element. Another thing I could have done here is, because I don't want to use this BR tag, is to move all these guys. Now it's becoming interesting, right? Move them inside the div element. You remember we said in case you want those guys to stay on their own line, you could wrap them in a div element, and the div will serve as a container, take the full width, and not allow any other inline element stay beside them. So can you see what happens there? I am a man even though I act like a boy is inside the div element with the a tag or the anchor element also inside it. Now we have our image elements down here. Yeah, this should have been my passport. So even though this image tag here or this image element does not have a link to an external image or an image on the inside the folder yet, what has happened is, instead of just giving us a blank image, a broken image view, and not knowing what should have been there, we have an alternative text that says this should have been my passport. Can you see? This is so confusing, and there was meant to be an image here, but with an alternative text you have something that shows, oh, we were expecting an image here. Now back to our image element reference. We can have height, we can have width, we can have long description, we can have the SRC. The SRC is also very important, and I think is one of the most important attributes for the image element as it shows the link or the path to the image. So let's have our src, and I have a link already here copied. Come back here and add it as the link to the image. Yep. So what happens if you check is we now have an image and our alt text is gone. So it's saying if there is an src attribute and it is accessible, I would show it. If it's not accessible, I will use the alt text as a placeholder. Yeah, let's use the width attribute and the height attribute to see what we can get. With the width attribute, we can now say we want it to be 200 pixels, and the height attribute, we can say we want it to be 400 pixels. Sorry about that. Yep, that's cool, right? Let's move ahead to, because it's not fine, let's change it to 200 pixels. Let's move ahead to the next common element we want to talk about. That is the audio tag. The audio tag is used to display an audio player for an audio resource. And there are several audio resources from OGG to MP3. Those are the two common audio formats we'll have. So let's go ahead and use the audio elements. It is represented by the audio tag. Every audio element would have a source element as a child, or as a nested, as a nested tag. So the source is meant to determine the type of the audio file and a link to the audio file. I already have that copied here, so let me just go ahead and paste it for you. So we have our audio tag, and we're going to talk about the attributes. Let's quickly check. So let's go ahead again and put our audio controls either inside a div tag or using a line break to put it on a new line. Yep. So let's check our audio element reference. It has autoplay. You can specify that the audio will start playing as soon as it is ready. It has controls. It specifies that the other controls should be displayed, such as play and the pause button. So for example, when you take away the controls, you have no view. Even though there is an audio, even though there is an audio element. Now, I just used autoplay, and what's happening? I did not even need to play the audio. By using the audio tag, guy, this is too much. Thank you. We're cool. Yeah, so by using the autoplay attributes, the moment the source MP3 file that I loaded here got loaded, it started playing. Let's return our controls attribute. Yeah, for audio, we also have muted, specifies that the audio output should be muted. We have preload, if and how the author thinks the audio should be loaded when the page loads. We have the src, that is in the source element that I'm going to talk about. Loop specifies that the audio will start over again every time it is finished. So for the source element, you have the src. And why do we have the source element differently? So that we can have different sources. This is like a fallback. In case the MP3 link does not work, the OGG link should work. So you could have as many audio formats and as many audio source links in your audio control. Also, this src could link to an external MP3 file or an MP3 file in your folder or anywhere on your computer. The last tag I want to talk about is the video tag, and the video tag is very similar to the audio tag because it defines embedded video content. It has the width attribute, the height attribute, and then the controls attribute. I'm sure you did not see the width and the height in the audio, but for the video you have it so that you can determine how big your video player should be on your page. Apart from that, it's so similar to the audio element because it also has a source sub element or a child element, and then it has a fallback text in case these formats are not supported by your browser. Your browser does not support the audio tag, your browser does not support the video tag. I already have this copied here, so for exigency purposes, let me copy and paste. And then when you check, what you have is this. So we could also determine the width. Let me just copy this from our image element. Could have width. Can you see that? So let's make it 300 since our TV should not be too small, with height of 200. And with this, you can easily just go ahead and play your video. So these are common HTML elements used, and it's been a wonderful time being your teacher, being your tutor. You could have autoplay like audio and the likes. I hope you have a great day, and I wish you success in your journey to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Bye.